Hello everyone, and in this video we are going to discuss about classes and JavaScript. So I have created a file classes.html and I opened the same file here in the browser as well. And I have attached the classes.js file, and in this file we will write our code. So let's start. So we create class by a keyword class. So class, and then the name of the class, so student. So I will name my class student, and then the curly brackets. And here I use the capital S, which is a convention but not required. And in order to use this class, we need to create an object of the class. So let's create an object of the class. So let student is equal to new student. So we are creating a new object of this class student. So let's console.log it. And student. So we have created an object of this class, which is the student object. So it is an empty object which refers to this student class. So here let's write our code. So first of all, we have to define a constructor by a keyword constructor, which is a method, and we need to define this method only once in the class. In this method, we will set our properties. So let's say if you want to write the first name and last name of the student, so first name, and if we write it like this, first name is equal to, let's say, John, so it will give us an error. Okay, so inside classes we will use the keyword this, and I will use this keyword later on in this video, but for now we will use this keyword to create the properties. So this dot last name, so last name Smith. Now you can see we have created two properties, first name and last name, and you can see the values here. Now when we create an object, this constructor method is called. So we don't want to write these values here like this, but we want to pass it from outside when we create the object. So let's say first name, so if name, and last name L name. So if name and L name. So let's pass the values. So John and Smith. So now when we create the object, this constructor method will be called, these values will be passed here, and we will set our variables or properties. So now let's create an second object. So let student 2, for example, and new student, and let's write Ali and Khan. And now let's console.log the second one as well. So console.log student 2. So now you can see the second object values here as well. So first name and last name. And this will not replace the first one. So if I write here console.log and student again, so you will write the same values. And you can see we have the first object values, then the student2, which is the second object values, and again the first object values. So these values will be stored in the object and it will not be changed. So how can we access the individual values? So student dot first name, and you can get the first name from that object, and similarly from the next one as well. So dot first name. Okay, so that's how you can create different objects of class and get its values. So let me remove these ones. Now let me comment this, and here we will write console.log this. So when we create the object, this method will be called, and this refers to this. So you can see the value of this here. So on the first time when we create the object, so it will be called, so this refers to this object, this student object. So you can see the values John and Smith. But the second time when we create this object, this keyword refers to this second object. So let's say if I write here this dot first name, so you can see John and Ali here. So in the first time this will refer to this object, but in the second time this will refer to this object. Okay, but if we write here console.log, in this keyword, so you can see outside of this class it refers to the window object. So it has all of the properties of the window object. So it depends where you are using the object. So it will refers to the current reference of this object. So this refers to the current object reference. So I hope it's clear now. So inside class, it refers to its own object. So when the first time the student, second time the student 2, and outside of this class it refers to the window object. Okay. Now inside classes we create methods. So methods are like functions, but we don't use the keyword function. In inside classes we call them methods. So let's say you want to write here a name. Do you want to access the full name of the person? So name, and here we will return. So this dot first name, and create a space, and this dot last name. So in this way we can return it. So let's say student dot name, and it is a method, so we will call it as a method. So John Smith, so you can see John Smith, or you can write it like this with a string literal as well. So now it's a bit cleaner. So you can write it like this as well. But what if we want to call this as a property? and not as a method. So what we can do is we can use the keyword get to get the property. So we'll now remove this function call and you can see the same thing, but now this time we are using the name method as a property. Now what we can do is we can create another name method, which is the set name method. The set name, and this method requires a value to be passed to set the value. So values, and here let me console.log it. So console.log the values here, and as we are using this as a property, so we can call it as a method. So let's say student dot name, and if we call it as a method and pass some values, let's say, so let's say ABC and XYZ. So we are using it as a method, but it is giving us an error and says it is not a function. So we can't use it like method. So what we need to do is we need to use it as a property. So now you can see the error and you can access the value, set this method, by using it as a property. So now you can see the value. Okay, so console.log values and char ABC XYZ. So let's say we are passing the values and we are separating it by a key space. So let's separate them by space. So values dot split and space. So now you can see two values here, ABC and XYZ. So now what you can do is you can store these values. So get names. Okay, so it will be an array. So this dot first name is equal to names and 0, and this dot last name will be equal to 1. Now you can see the values has been changed, ABC and XYZ, as we are console.log run.name. Okay, so we are accessing it like this, but let's use destructuring. So get f name and l name and f name and l name. So we can use destructuring here as well, and now set these values. So you can use either method which you like. And these methods, they are called getters and setters as well. So you can see setter. So it is the student.name setter, and this one is the student.name getter. And we can use the same thing with these properties as well. So let's do that. So let get first name and return this dot first name. And you can see we need a setter as well here. So set first name, and we need to pass the values. So value and this dot first name is equal to the value. But you can see here an error, and it says maximum call stack size exceeded. And this is because, as you saw it in the name case, we are using this method is a property. So we are calling this, okay, this one, that call this property, and then again we are calling it again. So this dot first name refers to this method as well. So we are calling this method, and inside this method we are calling this method again. So call. So when we come here, okay, we have to execute this method. Here we need to call this. We are calling this method again. So we come back here again, then we come here again. Okay, so it is calling itself again and again. So that's why it is giving us an error that the stack is full due to recursion. Okay, so how can we solve this issue? So instead of first name, we can write here actual property. So we are not referring to this method, but we are referring to the actual property, and we can write it like this here as well. So actual property, and now you can see there is no error here, because now says we need to call, I mean here, this actual property, which is the first name. So this one, not the method. And there is another way to write it. So you can either use first name, but you will see again the error. So in order to differentiate it, you can use the underscore, and now you can see the error has gone. So instead of this one, you can use the first name and the underscore here. So now you can see the error is back, but we can see if we write here underscore, so we are telling that we need this actual property, not this method. So we mean the actual property, not the method. So it will not call itself again and again. So there will be no recursion, and we can't see any error. So it depends which one you prefer. So actual property or this underscore method. So whichever you like, depends on you. But it do the same thing, same functionality. So now let's access first name, and you can see ABC, because we are setting it here in this method. So we are calling this. So let's call first name, and you can see ABC XYZ, because now this whole value sits here. But if we write here, let's say XYZ, then you can see XYZ. Okay, so in this way you can use these setters and getters and you can avoid that errors. So that's all about classes, and see you in the next video.